Hello, beautiful souls. Today's podcast is a bit different. You've heard me talking about it for a couple of weeks now. This one is all about my manifestation process and everything I went through to get where I got to. A completely changed life. So there are going to be some fun surprises and offers inside this podcast. I recommend that you listen to the whole thing. And I'm looking forward to talking to anybody who wants to get on a call with me, which is part of what we'll be talking about today, to talk about your own manifestation. All right, with that said, let's kick it off. I'll kick it off by telling you about the moment everything changed for me. I was standing in this life, this 50 years of an experiment that supposedly couldn't fail, but that did fail for me. And that experiment was the corporate career, a decent income, but really not enough to keep my head above water. Like I was constantly dog paddling, like I know a lot of you are. But I was outwardly checking all of the success boxes. I was inwardly dying. The phrase that ultimately kept echoing inside my head is, when do I finally get to live life on my own terms? You've heard me talk about that. That question, that really, really deeply connected soul level question, became the desire I manifested. A life living as my highest self, my self-actualized version of me. I'd tried manifestation before. The vision boards, the affirmations, Lacey Phillips and To Be Magnetic, all of it. But here's what I discovered. You can't manifest from survival consciousness. And I was deep in survival mode, even with the external trappings of success. Like I said, I was dog paddling to stay afloat. What I needed wasn't another visualization technique. I needed to discover something more profoundly connected to myself, an emotional trigger that would shake the foundation. I'm going to walk you through exactly how I manifested $300,000, but more importantly, how I manifested the freedom to live the life I now live. The money was just the 3D evidence of a 5D shift. I'll show you the framework I created, bringing together many, many different learnings and then living it. And by the end, you'll know how to apply this to your desires. I need to take you back to understand where this really started. I'd spent decades, literally decades, trying to change parts of myself, trying to be more productive, more focused, more whatever my work situation needed, trying to fit into boxes that actually just didn't fit me. Early one morning, as I was experiencing yet another stressed out daybreak, I kind of just broke. I mean, it wasn't dramatic, it was really quiet. It was very internal. Like there was this voice inside me that said, Dave, stop exhausting yourself trying to be someone that you're not. What hit me in that moment was this. The parts of me I'd been trying to change were actually my strengths. This is what I'd been learning through human design and the gene keys. Things like my ability to see patterns that others missed. I'd been told that that isn't what we're paying you for. And my need for spaciousness and a sense of flow with everything I did, I'd been confronted with the question, what is it you're actually doing around here? And my sensitivity to energy and truth, I'd been told that my problem was I was too nice. The emotional trigger wasn't anger. It was hope. Hope that I could finally stop finding fault with myself and listening to those external voices. That sense of hope really cracked things open for me. It moved me from, I should want to be more productive, to, I'm here to make something meaningful from my life. That's the difference between 3D wanting, which is based on what you're told you should want, and 5D calling, so based on your soul's truth. The trigger created an energetic opening for me. I literally felt it in my body. It was a release, like I'd been holding my breath for years, and finally exhaled. For a few days after that moment, I was really confused. Everything felt different. My to-do list, my routines, even my job relationships. I wasn't seeing fear through survival eyes anymore. I was seeing truth through conscious eyes. And the truth was, I needed to cross Maslow's border between living in survival mode to living as my highest, most authentic self. That became the desire. Finally living life on my own terms. Now, your emotional trigger is going to be different from mine. Maybe it's exhaustion from proving yourself. Maybe it's grief over dreams deferred. Maybe it's rage at systems that diminish you. But you'll know it when it hits you because you'll feel it in your body. And that's when you're ready to take the next step. So I had this emotional trigger, this deep knowing that I couldn't keep living the old way. Now what? After that trigger moment, something interesting started happening. I'd be doing my work and my mind would just drift. Not in an old kind of distracted way, but in a brand new way. I was imagining what life would look like if I actually lived on my own terms. And I wasn't just daydreaming. I was experiencing it in my imagination. My right brain, which is where imagination lives, and creativity, my right brain had woken up. I started imagining the sensory reality of this new life. Let me tell you pretty much exactly what I was visualizing. I saw myself waking up without an alarm. Great. My mornings started with stillness, not to-do lists. I saw my office, but it was filled with light, with books I loved, with sacred objects. There were no corporate overlords. I saw myself in conversations with people who were seeking truth, not just productivity. The visual landscape of my life was completely different. Hey, before we continue, I want to tell you about something I created that I think could really shift things for you. I've just released the Gentle Mastery Method Manifestation Manual, a complete 111-page guide that walks you through the exact process I used to manifest over $300,000 in 90 days. Now, I originally planned to sell this because honestly, the framework inside has created massive shifts, not just for me, but for clients that I've guided through this process. But I decided to offer it completely free to early adopters. Inside, you'll find the complete 5-part manifestation framework, worksheets for each stage, and how to use your human design and gene keys, aka your consciousness signature, to manifest in alignment with your unique design. Not some generic law of attraction approach, but manifestation that actually honors how you're designed to create. And here's the thing. This isn't about hustling or forcing. It's about alignment. It's about becoming the person who naturally lives the reality you're imagining. To download your free copy, just text me at 512-547-5559 and say, send me the manual. That's 512-547-5559. Or go to the link in the show description and grab it there. I'm also doing free manifestation mapping calls where we can talk about applying this to your specific goals. So download the manual and let's have a conversation about what you're being called to manifest. All right, let's get back to today's episode. During this period, I imagine my days filled with deep, deep work, the kind that feeds my soul. Creating, connecting, guiding others, not sitting in one ineffective meeting after another, not justifying my value at all. I saw myself creating something new, something that actually helped people cross their own Maslow borders out of survival mode. I saw spaciousness in my calendar, room to contemplate, to integrate, and to just be. This was crucial. I was imagining the energetic signature of this new life. I felt relaxed in my breath. Man, I had carried tension by subconsciously holding my breath for years, and I wasn't even aware of it. I felt this gentle power, not the force I have to prove myself energy. I felt safe to be vulnerable, to be seen as my authentic self. There was this quality of peace that I'd never felt consistently before. Like my nervous system could finally start to recover. I imagined the gentle energy of my mornings, no impending to-dos that were kind of like a monster under the bed before this. I imagined the smell and the taste of coffee I could give myself space to experience and enjoy. I heard the sound of my own voice guiding something I believed in. Even the quality of the air felt different in this imagination. Cleaner somehow. I wasn't just doing this as a manifestation exercise at first. I was just allowing myself to experience what it was I truly wanted my life to be like. But here's what I realize now. I was building what I call a scaffolding of beliefs. Every time I imagined waking without an alarm, I was creating the belief, I'm someone whose time is my own. Every time I imagined meaningful conversations, I was creating the belief, my work matters. Every time I felt that peace in my body, I was teaching my nervous system, it's safe to thrive. As I kept living in this imagination, beliefs started forming more naturally. I'm someone who lives life on their own terms. Again, that's my phrase. You've heard me say it over and over again. I'm valued for my authentic gifts, not my ability to do as instructed. My service to others creates abundance. These weren't affirmations I forced. They emerged from the partnership I created with my creative, imaginative right brain and its limitless abilities. They were these things were the natural byproduct of experiencing that reality internally. This wasn't fake it till you make it. I tried that before, and that just feels hollow. This was allowing my consciousness to experience the frequency of my desire. I'm going to say that again. This was allowing my consciousness to experience the frequency of my desire. I was training my nervous system to feel safe and thriving, not just surviving. And here's the thing, your right brain doesn't distinguish between imagined and real experience. The more sensory detail I added, the more real it became to my entire system. I was literally creating new neural pathways and in turn, new realities. So during this time, as many of you know, I was in my $300,000 manifestation desire moment. But I wasn't just visualizing money in my bank account. I was imagining the life of freedom that that money would provide. The ability to say no to work that drained me. The ability to say yes to work that feeds my soul. The peace of not having to prove my worth through a paycheck. When the money came in, that was just the 3D manifestation of a 5D shift in consciousness. I was thriving in this vision, building these beliefs, feeling this new identity taking shape. And then my left brain showed up. So there I was, experiencing this beautiful new identity in my imagination, feeling the peace, the freedom, the alignment. And then one day I woke up and the left brain was like, okay, fun's over, time to get real. All the doubts came flooding in. This is a nice fantasy, Dave, but you've got bills to pay. You have responsibilities. You can't just quit your job and hope the universe provides. What if you're wrong about all of this? The left brain brings receipts, you know. It showed me my bank account. There wasn't $300,000 in it. It showed me my calendar. See, still full of meaningless tasks you don't want on your plate. It reminded me of every time I'd tried to change before and failed. My left brain was like, who do you think you are, imagining this life could happen? And here's the thing. The left brain wasn't wrong. You know, that's its job to be concerned. Its job is survival and safety. And from where it stood, I was about to blow up my safe but horrible life. This is where I could have given up again, where I could have said, yeah, you're right, this is just wishful thinking. But I'd learned something about my design, my human design, and my gene keys. I'm a projector, and I'm not here to hustle and force. I'm here to wait for recognition and aligned invitations. This is all from human design. My gene keys also showed me that I'm moving from doubt, which is a shadow frequency of my gene key of my sphere of purpose, to inquiry, which is the strength of that, all the way up to truth, which is what Richard Rudd calls the siddhi. It is the highest manifestation frequency version of the same frequency. It's doubt leads to inquiry, which then leads to truth. Understanding these energies became the safety net that my left brain needed. So I sat with the resistance that I was getting from my left brain rather than fighting it. I literally had a conversation with my left brain. I see you. I hear you. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. But look, this is how I'm designed to operate. Projectors who force and hustle, they burn out. I know because I've tried it for decades. What if the thing that kills me isn't trusting my design? What if the thing that kills me is continuing to ignore it? I gave my left brain a new job. Your job isn't to block this. Your job is to notice the evidence that it's working. Once I did that, something incredible happened. The left brain and right brain started collaborating instead of fighting. My right brain would hold the vision of living on my own terms. My left brain would notice the synchronicities, a conversation that opened a door, an opportunity that aligned with my gifts, a moment where my authentic self was recognized and valued. They were working together, and that's where the real power emerged. I remember the first time I said yes to coaching that cost 5 figures. My left brain panicked. What are you doing? We don't have that money. But I stayed in the frequency of I live life on my own terms. The very same day that I committed to that 5-figure coaching, the way to pay for it showed up in the form of 2 completely unexpected clients for my brand new practice. And my left brain sat up and paid attention. The next time a similar choice appeared, there was less panic and more trust. Just know that your left brain will resist. That's normal. It's even necessary. Don't fight it. Don't suppress it. Give your left brain evidence from your unique design, your human design core elements, plus the parts of the gene keys that resonate the most with you. Let's just start that way. Show your left brain why it's safe to trust your authentic path. Create a partnership between the visionary right brain and the strategist left brain. That's when manifestation moves from wishing to creating. So, now I had both parts of my brain working together. The imagination was alive, the beliefs were built, and the resistance was integrated. And then it started happening. I want to tell you exactly how this unfolded for me, because the manifestation happened in a way that made even my skeptical left brain sit up and pay attention. One morning I woke up and checked my bank account, and there was $300,000 plus that hadn't been there the day before. It came through a gift that I didn't know was coming. My left brain said, okay, this is real. This alignment thing actually works. That moment gave me the trust and the faith to keep making different decisions. Decisions that were from my new identity, not my old survival programming. Some people might say, okay, that's just luck, that's not manifestation, that's some random gift that came out of nowhere. But here's what I know. That money did not show up until I did the internal work, until I found my emotional trigger, until I lived in the imagination of a life of freedom, until I integrated my left brain's resistance. The universe, or whatever it is you want to call it, delivered through the channel that was available this gift. I wasn't attached to how it came. I was aligned with the frequency of freedom, and freedom found me. So that initial 300K gave me the runway to keep making more aligned decisions. I didn't just sit on it and stay in my corporate job forever. I used that money as the foundation to build the authentic life I had been dreaming of. Over the next 9 months, here's what's happened. I transitioned from full-time corporate to part-time consulting and guiding, what I'm born to do, I started developing what would ultimately become the Gentle Mastery Method. I continued to manifest additional abundance through a combination of aligned consulting work, so saying yes to projects that recognized me and honored my design, early clients who found me because I was visible in my authenticity, exceptional mentorship and coaching, all of which came to me in complete alignment with what I was asking my higher self for help with, and also unexpected opportunities I couldn't have strategized from my old consciousness. So here's an example. Early on, I created some entry-level, low investment offers in my business. I hustled to get clients to even pay attention to what I was putting out there. The old me sort of reared its ugly head and started with the self-blame. Nothing was working. But I checked in with my new identity, and I asked myself, is this me really living life on my own terms? And the answer was a very definite no. So I ditched those offers in favor of following my instincts to solve bigger and more expensive problems for my clients. My left brain almost had a heart attack. You just got $300,000 and now you're turning down small money? I had to maintain that frequency of trust and faith. And the clients started to sign up for this higher level, more expensive work. Around the same time, I was invited to join a consciousness cohort. It was informal. It was just a series of group conversations over Google Meet. The cohort leader and I were the only people really who consistently showed up week after week. And this was a 4-month-long cohort. By all outside standards, it would look like a dud and a complete waste of my time. No money was being made. No huge audience was being built. But when I went all in and participated from my truth, I felt more alive than I had ever felt. I felt like I was operating from my natural, what Richard Rudd calls genius. The leader and I started sharing breakthroughs. I was helping him as much as he was helping me. I could see it in his presence. That was the moment that I thought, this is what living on my own terms looks like. This is how I am meant to serve humanity. Once I started making decisions based on alignment rather than survival, more aligned opportunities appeared. Not because the universe was rewarding me for good vibes, but because I was literally showing up differently. I'll say that again. I was literally showing up differently. I was energetically broadcasting, I'm available for work that honors my authentic gifts. I'm not available for anything else. And people who needed those specific gifts started finding me. Over those 9 months after the initial $300,000, I manifested even more. Not through the same channel of a gift, but through aligned action, through saying yes to what resonated and no to what didn't, through trusting my design instead of forcing productivity, through being visible in my authenticity. But here's what mattered more than any dollar amount. I was living life on my own terms. The money came through channels I never could have predicted. First the gift, then client work, then unexpected opportunities. The manifestation required me to trust my design, trust the frequency, trust the process. If I'd tried to strategize my way there from survival consciousness, I would have missed most of these opportunities. Every time I wanted to force or control, I had to return to, I am loving, nurturing, spaciousness. I am the key to my life's desires. That phrase became my anchor. Here's what nobody tells you about manifestation. When it arrives, there's this weird adjustment period. I had the freedom I wanted, but my nervous system needed time to believe it was safe. I had the money, but old patterns of scarcity would still pop up. Should I really delete those low-price offers? Should I really invest in that coaching? This is normal. Your system is catching up with your new reality. This is where gentle habits and self-compassion become crucial. You don't shame yourself for the old patterns. You gently guide yourself back to the new frequency. Alignment leads to abundance. Not because you manifested it through force of will, but because when you're aligned with your authentic self, you naturally make different choices. You attract different opportunities. You show up with different energy. The manifestation becomes almost inevitable. It is the natural byproduct of being yourself. So, that's how it worked for me. But I know what you're probably thinking. Dave, this is great for you. But what about me? I didn't just read a book and then poof, suddenly everything magically made sense. I didn't follow the perfect morning routine of all the online gurus. I learned this from living it, from crossing and recrossing Maslow's border between survival and self-actualization myself over and over, and learning how to help others on the same journey. And what I discovered is that this approach is fundamentally different from everything else out there. This isn't think positive thoughts and money appears. This isn't raise your vibration without actually doing the work. This is conscious identity creation using your whole system. The emotional trigger, which is body wisdom, the imagination, which is your right brain's power, the belief building, which is creating new neural pathways, the left brain integration, so it's that strategic partnership that's so important, and the nervous system regulation, so feeling safe to thrive. We're working with your entire consciousness. I tried the 5 a.m. wake-up calls. I tried the 10x Your Life programs. You know what happened? I burned out because I was trying to force my way to success using methods that ignored my design. Gentle mastery is about alignment, not meaningless achievement. It's about becoming, not just acquiring. The results come from being yourself, not from grinding harder. What I realized through this whole journey is that manifestation isn't separate from self-actualization. It's the same process. When you cross Maslow's border from survival to thriving, when you move from living according to shoulds to living as your authentic self, manifestation becomes natural. Because you're not trying to force reality to give you what you think you need to be safe. You're creating from a place of already being whole. So there are these sort of 3 paths that you walk during this process. So you have to heal. I had to empty myself of all of the limiting beliefs that I had to get rid of in order to change myself. Then the importance of meaning. So I had to connect with what I authentically desired, not what I had been conditioned to want. and then even deeper connection. I had to manifest through aligned action and authentic expression with who I truly am, not from force. This framework came from my own journey, and it's how I now guide others. Here's what I wish I'd known earlier, like decades ago. Every person has a unique way they're designed to manifest. My projector design means that I wait for recognition and invitation. Your design is likely to be completely different. Even if you're a projector, a lot of the things are going to be different from me. A generator manifests through responding to what lights them up. A manifester initiates and informs. So your gene keys also show you the frequency journey of your specific desires. When you know your signature, manifestation becomes natural instead of forced. I'll be doing a deep dive on discovering your consciousness signature in a couple of weeks. I can't wait to share that with you. So today I took you through my actual journey of manifesting $300,000 and the freedom to live life on my own terms. You saw how the emotional trigger opened the door, how imagination engaged the power of my right brain, how I worked with left brain resistance instead of fighting it, how the manifestation unfolded through aligned decisions, and why this approach is different from everything else you've tried. Your journey will be different than mine. Your desires will be unique to you, but the framework works just the same because it's based on how consciousness actually functions, not on wishful thinking or forcing. If this has resonated with you, if you felt something shift as you listened, I have created something special. The Gentle Mastery Method Manifestation Manual. It's over 100 pages of everything that we covered today, plus the deep work of applying it to your specific desires. It's got worksheets, exercises, and guided practices. The emotional trigger identification worksheet is there so that you can find your trigger. The 3D aspects imagination exercise, fully expanded with prompts, belief building templates specific to different types of desires, the left brain, right brain partnership practice, exactly how to create that collaboration, your personal manifestation timeline map to track your journey, integration practices for when your desire manifests, because that's when the real work begins, an introduction to your consciousness signature for manifestation, and my complete $300,000 story broken down step by step with all the details. Real practices I used and I still use. This isn't just another manifestation course. It's practical mysticism. It's spiritual wisdom made actionable. This is what happens when you combine Maslow's hierarchy of needs, David R. Hawkins's map of consciousness, human design, the gene keys, mindset work, and lived experience. You'll return to this manual again and again as you manifest different things throughout your life. Because once you understand the framework, you can apply it to anything. Here's what I love about this right now. Right now, it's free. So I was going to charge for this, and I might still do so, depending upon when you're listening to this. It might not be free anymore, but it's so full of amazing value and insights that you'll return to for years. Because this isn't about me making money. I already manifested that. This is about making this wisdom accessible. So anyone ready to cross Maslow's border can have the map. All you have to do is go to the link in the show notes, click on it, download the manual, and start your own manifestation journey. If you apply this framework, something will shift. Maybe not the way you expect it. It almost never is how you expect it, but it will be precisely what your soul is calling you toward. I've spent decades trying to force success, trying to change parts of myself to fit external expectations. It wasn't until I learned to be gentle with myself, to trust my design, to live from alignment instead of achievement, that everything changed. You're more powerful than you know. You're not breaking, and you don't need fixing. You need alignment with who you truly are. And when you get that alignment, manifestation isn't magic. It's natural. It's what happens when you stop living below the border and cross into your authentic, magnificent self. If this served you, please leave a comment and let me know what landed. Share one thing you're ready to manifest from your magnificent self. Subscribe for more gentle mastery wisdom. And I'll see you in a podcast coming up in a couple of weeks where we go really deep into your consciousness signature. Until next week, remember, you are the key to your life's desires. Peace.